I am back for hopefully the last time, because I'm like, you're probably just sick of me at this point. And of course I'm back again with my brown tan Dia boy, who I don't think I said his name in the last video, but his name's Annie, aka Hannigan. He goes by either or. He also goes by the title Demon King, which you can only use if you're certain people. But yeah, he has many names. He also has past names, which I do not know yet, but he does have past names that sometimes his wife and husband call him, and only they are allowed to call him these names. But yeah, he has many names. But right now, you can call him Annie or Hannigan, whichever one you're comfortable with. Because I know Annie is pretty much seen as a girl's name, but I can't get out of my head, and I think it's kind of like jokingly called by him, like jokingly his wife and husband and closest demon friends can call him that. But most people do call him Hannigan, but you have permission to call him Annie. So I'm going to give you what I can on his backstory. It in my head is very convoluted, and so it might come out of my face very convoluted. I apologize in advance if I just pretty much lose you here. But I wanted to share what I had because I've been very invested in this character for a very long time. Which I don't know if I've actually shared that before. I could have sworn I did, but I at that time may have not been talking about a brown tan Dia. I may have been just talking about Dia boy in general, because I've been wanting a Dia boy forever. I have been wanting one ever since I saw one, when I was actually looking up my other doll I wanted, which was a Sum Sard. Now you're probably thinking, well, they look practically identical. Why would you even, well, actually they're pretty much identical. Two differences, their eyes, slightest of difference, and Sards have pointy ears. That's the only difference that I have been able to see between the two of them. But you're probably wondering, you know, why would you need one if you have the other? What is even the point of that? Well, it's because at the time I thought of it's when I started thinking of making my story, well, making a world in my story pretty much. Because my story for the most part, except for the Fae world, takes place in our world, in our Earth, our times. But I don't know, I started to find that boring, I guess, and started thinking of things I could do to spice things up for myself. And it'd be mostly like background stuff that probably wouldn't be put into the story too much, but it became very important to me. And at the time, that's when I bought my Sum Sard, became obsessed with getting a Sum Sard, and managed to get one through the free choice event. And I also got a Sum Io as well to be a companion to my Sum Sard in regards to the gods I was creating, because I don't know, I wanted to make my world and my magical creatures, as I've been referring to, my mages, werewolves, changeling, not changelings, shapeshifters, excuse me, and fae and all that. I've been just referring to them all in clump as magical creatures. I wanted to make them more encompassed and give them more of a background, more of a structure, rather than basing them off of anything existing right now, if only because I wanted to make it more mine, I guess. So that's why I came up with my gods. The main god being my Sum Io. His name is Solar. And to start off with him, because basically, you know, this is the reason why this all exists. He was created by the Earth. And it's just because the Earth was just doing stuff and accidentally creates a god. And Solar, he was so thankful for being created that he actually decided to create something and give it back to the Earth. And he actually made the sisters. And the sisters are connected by blood. They actually have his blood. But one was the first ever mage. She was supposed to be more connected to humanity and protect humanity, etc. And the other sister was the first ever fae, and she was supposed to protect the earth, be connected to the earth, etc. And they were supposed to work together in harmony, make more of them, you know, more fae and more mages, and create a world, create a better world for the humans that in my story already existed. I don't want to touch upon the creation of humans and all that. That you know, I pretty much go with like pre-existing mythos on that. I wanted to focus on how the magical creatures came to be. So he basically put them down on Earth, you know, create, work in harmony, and, you know, keep the Earth this amazing thing that created me. You know, that's basically what he had in mind. Well, he let them do their thing, and it does not go well. That will hopefully come up in my story. I don't want to give away too much, but it does not go very well. But of course, he's not to know that. He does not know that because he actually cannot go onto the earth himself. It's a tragedy. He was created by the earth, and he's always wanted to see the earth, see the thing that created him, but he is unable to. So he actually creates another god. He creates another god that is able to do what he cannot, the one thing he cannot. And that's when he creates my Sard, who's named Forever, because he will last forever. That's how he made him. The reason why he will last for, you know, he was made the way Solar, you know, wished he was, is that Solar very, very slowly but surely is actually dying. And he doesn't want to tell the earth this, and he doesn't want to leave the earth alone. So when he creates Forever, he creates a being that can live forever and also go down to the earth and just, you know, be what he couldn't be. So Forever, actually, you know, he follows Solar's orders. He's so sad for Solar because Solar, you know, is his father pretty much. And they actually are up together for a very long time before Forever first touches down onto the earth, simply because, you know, he has to make sure that it's possible for him to do what he needs to do. But eventually they find out that he can do it, and Forever touches down to earth for the first time. I'm not sure what the time frame is for this. I need to still work out time frames. But when he first touches down to earth, things are not good. But, you know, at the same time, you know, that's just, it gets worse. So he's actually seeing it at a pretty good time now. But he touches down to earth with the, you know, soul ideal that he has to observe and then report back to Solar what is going on, and pretty much live amongst the magical creatures and anyone on earth and get an idea of, you know, how things are, how it is to be them, etc., etc. So he touches down to earth, and when he first does, though they thought they had prepped and done everything they could, when he touches down, he's in horrible shape. He's actually going to be represented by cream white Sum Dia Boy. Yes, I'm going to by the end of this, I'm going to have 3 Dias and my Sard. So he will be represented by cream white Sum Dia Boy, and I'm going to do specific body blush and make him have like very fine black veins all over him, and black hair. He's going to have black hair and very dark eyes, not quite black, but very dark eyes. And he's just very sick, and they just had not prepared enough, basically. He is a mess, and when he comes down, he actually becomes the first ever demon. because how the demons are created in my story, I've been calling them the in-betweens, because basically what happens is it happens when you try to turn one magical creature into another one, and things go wrong, and they're stuck in between the both creatures they were meant to be. And that happens to him on an epic scale, because he was a god and now he's trying to be converted into something the earth wants him to be. Basically, the earth is trying to turn him into something else so that it can be so that he can adapt. But in doing so, it shoves him in between. And so he's the first ever demon. But this is something not known at the time. The only thing he knows at the time is that he's very sick, and he's very hungry. But despite, all the food he eats and everything, nothing is satisfying him until he actually starts eating people's energy. It's something he does become conscious of. I don't know when he becomes conscious of him doing this, but once he does it purposefully. But he also tries not to hurt anyone, because he still looks as these people as creations of gods, and he doesn't want to destroy them or make things worse, but he wants to still serve his purpose, which is to live amongst them and gather data and all that stuff. So he refuses to give up, but he also refuses to destroy, and he's just so messed up for a very long time, until this woman actually, he meets this woman. I'm not sure how they meet yet, but she does end up taking him in and taking care of him, because I don't know exactly what happened, but he's really messed up at this time. And she ends up taking him in, and they end up forming a relationship that turns into one of those ridiculously epic love stories. Oh, my cat's snoring. Sorry. It's so cute. But yeah, it becomes very epic. They become madly in love, and it just warms the earth to him, and he just cannot believe that this is a thing that can exist and something that he can feel. It's beautiful. He loves it. And then it comes to turn out that she actually is a fae. It turns out he has a thing for fae. And one day he notices himself deteriorating, and he had been warned that at that time, that's when he knew that it was time for him to go back into the atmosphere and become a god again, to prepare to come back again. So when he felt that happening, he did not want to lose her. He was unaware, though, that she was fae, because she was unawakened fae, so she was unaware of it herself. And even if they had known, they would have known this happened. But before he deteriorated, he ended up giving her eternal life. And it's kind of like turning someone into a vampire, but not really, because he doesn't have vampiric magic in him. But it's something similar, something he had been aware he could do. He was aware he could do certain things, just as long as, he used part of his essence to do it. So he did that, but it trapped her in between. She became a demon herself. Though at the time, again, since there was really no precedent for this, is that the word? Regardless, since, this hadn't really been seen before, besides in him, really, and he didn't even know, they weren't to know they were demons. And she definitely did not know. But at that point, she was able to live forever. And he taught her, once she noticed that something had happened, something different, he taught her how to survive and what to eat, and how not to hurt people, etc., etc. So he ended up doing that, and he ended up deteriorating, becoming a god again. And he was distraught in a way that I really don't have words for. he loved her so much, but not only did he love her so much, he actually ended up falling in love with humanity and being on the earth and the magical creatures. He fell in love with it, all of it, despite how bad things were. He couldn't help it. His heart was just so connected to it. So, he actually, of course, prepares to go back again. He needs to get back. He wants to see her again and get back to the earth to just be amongst them again. And Solar's super excited. So, of course, he helps him again. And he's so glad that he's able to do this. And he reported back bad things, but also the goodness of it all. So, you know, he helps him to once again go back down. But by the time that's all done, many years have passed. I don't know the time frame, but he touches down and everything's different again, and worse. And this time he touches down as a woman, and this will be represented in Assume Dia girl in normal skin, because at this point when he touches down, he comes back more prepared. So physically, much better than the first time, significantly better. But again, he comes back as a demon because, again, the earth just cannot handle him being a god and tries to change him again. So he comes back down, and surprise of all surprises, when he touches back down, his memories become scrambled. He can't remember his other time down on the earth. He can get snippets, but they make no sense to him. He can remember what Solar told him to do. He can remember even talking to Solar, but not what about. So he just knows that what he has to do is live amongst the people and report back. That's all he can really fully remember. He can't remember everything else. It's still in there. It's just super messed up. And in this incarnation, because he's again messed up in a different way. Like, first time he's physically messed up, this time he's mentally messed up. In this incarnation as a woman, he actually meets this guy who I'm thinking he may have been one of the first psychiatrists around, actually, because I imagine that he tries to unscramble these memories, and in doing so, you know, people think, you know, this human or whatever, and, you know, dismisses them and sends them there because, again, demons aren't a thing, not yet. So I'm not sure who this guy is yet and how they meet, but again, it's the guy ends up taking care of him, and once more he finds himself falling in love. And they fall madly in love with each other, and it's to the point where actually at that point he gets pregnant. I need to figure out though how a kid would work between a fae and a demon, because the guy he falls in love with is a fae. As I said, he has a thing for fae apparently, or maybe he just attracts them. I'm not sure, but I need to figure that out because his child still lives during this incarnation, excuse me, not carnation. The child still lives, but I don't know what kind of child would come from this union. But yes, he ends up having a child in this incarnation, and they are married and together for a very long time, to the point where he actually raises this child, and it's this big, beautiful, wonderful thing that they have, but the world is worse, and while he does not understand that yet, that it's worse, he does not, from, you know, outside information, I guess from me, he's not yet to know that he doesn't feel the same way he did during the first incarnation, because the world is just, it's too much, it's just worse for the magical creatures, and it's just it's just not right. So he actually again goes to deteriorate, though it takes much, much longer this time than it did the first time because he came down so strong. And this time he does the same thing he does with his, what he did with his wife, though he did not remember the consequences of the first time. He thought he was doing something brand new, and in doing so turned this guy into a demon. So he turned his husband into a demon, and he ended up, teaching him how to be a demon, just like he did with his wife, though he does not remember this. And he ends up deteriorating again and becoming a god again. So, cut to current day, where once again Solar has prepped him to come back down. And once Forever had reached into atmosphere again to become a god, he remembered everything. All his memories unlocked, and he was able to tell Solar everything and compare things, tell him the world was able to see the world was getting worse. He was surprised that his heart had the capacity to love someone else. But then he realized, he had forgotten her. He felt horrible about that. He felt horrible that he was going to attempt to touch down again and forget his husband. He was just a mess. But he was addicted to the earth and wanted to one more time come back down. And Solar was like, this is probably the last time you will be able to do this, because Solar had this fear with everything that Forever was telling him, that the world was just not going to last. So Solar prepped him again, and this time they took longer so that he could be down longer. And by the time he touches down again, it is current day. And that's when we get to this form here. That's so he's now this Sundia. And this time, though, when he touches back down, there's some unexpected things. One, he does lose his memories again, or basically they become scrambled again. So he was unaware that, of course, that was going to happen again, because he cannot those memories are even scrambled that, he knew. But despite them being scrambled, this time he has people waiting for him. Who he has waiting for him is his wife and his husband and the other demons that have since been created. Because when he had touched down the second time, demons had still not been a thing, except for his wife, who he didn't even know. Didn't even remember, excuse me. But at this point, there are more demons because there have been more fuck-ups, basically, in regards to trying to change one magical creature into another. So there's many, like, there's mages that had been bitten by werewolves, and it had just conflicted, and then fae that had been tried to turn into vampires, and there's just many more. There's actual, like, a plethora now. Some more soft than others. Some, there's different factions. There's one that feeds off of good. There's ones that feed off of bad. But there's all different kinds. But there's definitely demons now. And they're being currently led by his wife and husband, who had, once demons became a thing, they had started to gather, and his wife and husband had actually compared stories. Pretty much everyone had compared stories, and a realization had hit them that they were possibly in love and waiting for the same person. And so they took it upon themselves to become the leaders, because they are the oldest demons made by the first demon. So they were the strongest and they were the first. So it was only logical that they would become the leaders. Yeah, they become leaders of the demons. And they actually they had started to wait for him. They did not tell the other demons about this because they didn't want to come off as crazy. But they did start to secretly wait for him because they figured if he had touched them once and then again, that maybe there would be another time. So when he shows up this time, they actually are prepared for him, and they actually come for him. And it's such a beautiful thing because in seeing them, it actually unlocks the memories instantly in seeing them. And in doing so, he knows everything about their past and how much he loves the both of them, and he's so happy to see them, so happy to see his Earth that he's addicted to, and he's just so in love. But one of the biggest things he's not happy about is the fact that there's so many more demons. Because of how accidental it had been, he cannot believe that there's more, and the state of the world, of course, for the magical creatures is far worse. So he becomes basically the demon king, and his purpose at this point is to basically get the demons to a point where they are helping the earth and being good for the earth, being good for humanity and magical creatures, rather than against it. He has a lot of work to do because a lot of demons refuse to take on this ideal. They'd rather be the bad guys that people think they are. But at the same time, he's able to convince a lot because he has a charisma about him. People just can't help sometimes listening to him and wanting to be around him and wanting even to love him. So like, he's able to convince a lot, and he still will work on it, and he actually has a part in the war, but the war that's in my story, but I'm not sure what yet. But I know that he is for the earth, and he doesn't want his father's creation to be destroyed. So that's what I have for his backstory. I cannot believe that this video is almost a half hour. I don't know anyone who's going to watch this, but if you did, I'm so sorry if this bored you to tears. But that's what I have for him, and I did want to share. There's probably going to be more, and I do need to work out some kinks. I'm aware of that. But hopefully I did the best I can in explaining this. I've been trying to do this for like days, and it's been coming out rough every single time. This is actually the best it's come out, so hopefully it wasn't tragically horrible. So thank you so much if you watched this ridiculously long video. You're the best if you did that. I cannot believe this. So I'm just going to leave it here. If I have anything else, I'll make like a part 2 or something. So thank you so much if you watched. I love you guys. Hopefully you won't see from me for a bit to give you a break. So I will talk to you later. Thank you so much.